my name is HAPruitt and I'm the author of Anelthalien. And in this video, I'm going to tell the story behind the second book in the Anelthalien series, Quaking. The second book, Quaking, is set to come out in June 2021. So that's really exciting. And in this video and in the series I've made so far, I've been telling what went on in my life while I've been working to publish Quaking. So if you haven't watched the series yet, you got to go back and watch the previous video at least to understand what I'm going to talk about in this video. So last time I talked about how I had a phone call with another author reviewing Anelthalien and how they tore me up pretty bad. But that was Monday. That phone call happened on Monday. And I don't remember exactly the time frame. I think that Brenda had read Quaking. She got to read it before anybody else. My friend Brenda had read Quaking before anybody else, and she wrote a little review of it. And so I hadn't read it until after I had that phone call with the author. It had been sitting on my counter. I just hadn't been able to get to it. But after that phone call with the author, I went and I read her review. And I'm just going to read you a little bit because it would spoil some things if I read you the whole thing. And she said, "You, young lady, have an amazing God-given talent, and I'm overly delighted you gave me the opportunity to preview your book before publishing." She said, "Once again, Quaking is the way you use narrative language along with descriptive word choices. The way you use it is by far one of my favorite things about your books. You can see, hear, and feel every character as I'm reading. Each page leaves me excited to turn to the next page. Each chapter leaves me not wanting to stop there. Finally, each book leaves me anxious and ready to pick up the next book. I'm left with an eager desire to find out how..." She reveals some stuff, so I'm not going to read that bit. "I find myself reading over the hidden lessons several times, thinking, wow, how incredibly stated." And she went on for 3 little pages here about how much she loved Quaking and how much she loves the series and how she sees God's truth woven within it, and it's just amazing to her. And so that was incredibly encouraging after hearing a phone call with someone saying your book wasn't good and no one would like it and no one would get anything out of it and lots of other things. That was incredibly encouraging to read it and hear the words of someone who really got it. And also so Brenda and I don't like talk on the phone because she's a member of our church. When I say our church, I mean my husband's a pastor, I'm a pastor's wife, and so our church is just the church we go to. And so if she has something to talk about, she usually calls Scott because he actually keeps track of his phone. I don't really keep track of my phone. So she usually calls Scott. But that day, for whatever reason, she called me, and I remember her saying, "I don't know why I felt like I needed to call you instead of just text you this little thing I needed to tell you, but I felt like I needed to call you today." And she asked me how I was. She had something to tell me, and then she asked, "Well, how are you today?" And I told her I'm not so great, and I told her everything that author had said, and she said it sounded like that author just didn't like fantasy books. And I was like, well, yeah, the author did say he didn't like Lord of the Rings and he didn't like Harry Potter. And so, I mean, if you don't like fantasy, then it makes sense you didn't like Anelthalien. So that helped a lot. And she said a whole bunch of other stuff, just encouraging me how much she loved my books and how she could see God through them. And that really helped me that God just let her happen to call me the same day that I had that phone call, and she gave me such wonderful encouragement. And so God encouraged me through her little review of Quaking, through her calling, and then it reminded me how much she loved Anelthalien, and that there are people out there who love Anelthalien. And also later that week, another author, a different author than the phone call author, another author had read and reviewed Anelthalien. And they gave it 5 stars and they loved it. And they talked about how there's these little gems of God's wisdom and God's truth throughout it. And that's what they loved the most. And that really encouraged me. And it reminded me of something. It encouraged me because that's what I want people to see when they read Anelthalien. When I wrote it and while I'm writing Quaking and while I'm writing all the other books that I can't say the title of yet in this Anelthalien series, it excites me more than anything else to learn new things about God. Like, when I write, it's not like me thinking of things and like making stuff up. It's like God giving me this story And while I'm writing it, I'm just like, wow, like finding these truths out about God. It's like discovering these little gems and just being excited about opening your eyes more to God. And that's what I love about it. And so for this other author to come back and say she got that, she saw that, so encouraging. It was like, yeah, God really can use this book to help other people. God really can show himself through this book. And I realized that author on the phone call, the negative review, he hadn't said one word about the spiritual aspects of the book. He talked about the cover a lot. He talked about the first page a lot. He talked about the characters some. He talked about the plot. And that was it. He didn't talk about any of the spiritual things at all. Anything he got out of it. And so it helped me remember that some people are going to get it, and some people are going to see God. And even Christian people, even people who know God, like that author, both authors were Christian authors also. But the author who gave the negative review was a Christian author, but some people, even Christians, aren't going to get it and aren't going to see it, aren't going to be able to look past the cover or whatever they get hung up on. Some people aren't going to get it, but some people are. And when some people get it, they're going to know God. Like, I wish I could tell you more, but like, I think it's in the 4th book. It just stopped me in my tracks. And I just was like, this is going to like show people who God really is and save people. This is going to save people's lives. I don't want to get into too much of the story of Anelthalien in the series right now. I want you to know that if you have a negative review, if you have negative things going on in your life telling you that something you're trying to do for God, that you are convinced God told you to do, if you have opposition, if you have devastation, if you have things that just discourage you, don't let it. If God has told you to do something, there are going to be people out there who are going to see it, who are going to get it, and who are going to love God more because of it. And that's what I learned from all those things that God really showed me. I mean, it was just like, I had that one difficult thing at the beginning of the week, and then God was like, I'm using this over and over and over again through the rest of the week. So God will let you know if he wants you to keep going with something. And that phrase, keep going, is going to be a major theme in my next couple videos, because I've had a lot more discouragement and a lot more encouragement from God. So I'll keep talking about in the next videos in this series. Thank you very much for watching. Just please, if you are enjoying these videos, subscribe, like, comment, tell me about a time when God encouraged you in any area of your life. And thank you for watching. Bye. If you want to know more about Anelthalien or HAPruitt, please follow me on Instagram at HAPruitt. You can find me on Amazon as an Amazon author, HAPruitt. Please watch my YouTube channel and all my cool videos on my channel, HAPruitt Anelthalien. You can find me on the Facebook page, HAPruitt Anelthalien. You can follow me on Goodreads by the name HAPruitt and the book Anelthalien, or you can go to my website where so much cool stuff about Anelthalien is. The website is HAPruitt.com. Start over. Don't put the book on your shoulder. It's not a parrot. Okay.